अरे यार ये तो वेटिंग रूम છે सारे वेटिंग रूम છે Hello students. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Good morning बच्चों. So shall we start the lecture?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So today's topic is routing of microshoot. I have already told you that routing is one of the most important step of micropropagation, and this step deserves this special consideration. That is why this special lecture is focused on the routing of microshoots. So importance of rooting or rhizogenesis, it's one of the same thing. Either we say it's rooting of microshoot or rhizogenesis. Importance of rooting is realized ever since man has thought of vegetatively propagating the plants. So it is not that the rooting is important with respect to the plant tissue culture. It is important since ages when the man has learned to vegetatively propagate the plants and produce many plants from one plant through the process of vegetative propagation. The propagation through cutting, arching, air layering, all these involves the process of rooting. It is most important step in micropropagation process, which I have discussed with you at length. Further, in plants where regeneration through somatic embryogenesis has not been worked out or successful, rooting of microshoot is the only way to produce the plants. So we can produce the plants in those plants where somatic embryogenesis has not been reported through the rooting of microshoots. So it is an important aspect with respect to this also. Then roots are now also used for the production of secondary metabolites. Roots are considered as very sustainable and reproducible source of plant secondary metabolite which are produced in the roots. These can be very easily cultured in the bioreactors to produce the secondary metabolite. Thus, this has been utilized for the production of secondary metabolites. In certain species, the root formation is also important for the induction of storage propagule. If we want to do the propagation through the production of these tubers, bulbs, or columns, which I have discussed with you, rooting is a prerequisite in that case also. So one more point which I can emphasize here with respect to the rooting of root induction or root culture is that roots are the cultures which can be maintained in the absence of light. Thus, we can grow roots on the medium as a storage of germplasm source also. That is, in the petri plates, where we keep one flask, we can stack 10 or 15 or 20 petri plates and just forget it for months. And the roots are very easily growing, and whenever required, we can subculture that. So it's a short-term way of conservation of genetic resources or germplasm conservation. Then induction of roots in the microshoots is important for the formation of plantlets. Generally, roots have endogenous origin. What does this mean? The microshoots could be rooted in two ways. So I will just discuss with you what is a endogenous origin also. But before that, I would like you to know that microshoots can be rooted two ways. One is in vitro, that is in the culture. We can culture the shoots on the root induction medium and root it in the culture. And second way, this is called in vitro rooting. And second is called ex vitro rooting, where we just take out the shoots from the cultures, put them in the soil like the micro cuttings, and we acclimatize them as well as root them together. And this is called ex vitro rooting of microshoots. So before I take up this slide, I would like to show you what the endogenous origin means. So if we cut the cross section of the stem, we have epidermis, so again I'm drawing. This is epidermis. This portion, and here is the endodermis, a section of the stem. This is the endodermis. And this portion from here to here, this is called cortex. Cortex. Now, if we look at the endodermis, endodermis is a single layer of cells like that. So it is all around. Now, root arise from the endodermis. This is the place from where the root arise. Roots arise from the endodermis. Arise from the endodermis. Therefore, we call it as endogenous origin. Roots. If something arises from the epidermis, here we call it as exogenous. If it is from endodermis, we call it as endogenous origin. So roots have endogenous origin. Because why it is having endogenous origin? Here you know are the vascular bundles. Here are the vascular bundles like that. In case of dicot stem, so there is a small, maybe small variation in certain cases. Here are the vascular bundles. Now these are outside is xylem and inside is phloem. Outside is phloem and inside is xylem. The xylem conducts the tissue. The root, when it suppose the root is emerging from here and is coming out from the surface of the plant, the stem, so it had to absorb water and nutrient. Water and minerals, and provide it to this place here, supply it here. So it has to have, if the root are having origin here, then they will not be able to supply this minerals and other thing here. So that is why the roots are, it's called that roots have endogenous origin. Okay, so that is the basic reason that the root arise from the internal surfaces. So this is a root formation in micro-cutting process. So I have told you in vitro and ex vitro rooting. Both the type of rooting can be two type. Again, each type. So it's becoming to be four type together. So in vitro can be direct root formation or indirect root formation. So this I have also explained to you what is the meaning of direct formation organogenesis and indirect organogenesis. In direct organogenesis, there is no intervening callus phase, whereas in case of indirect, there is an intervening callus phase. So in direct, there are competent root forming cells with the potential to root initiation. So these cells may not root if they are provided with certain environmental condition. These cells can root. So the cytological changes takes place that result in directed polar division, root initiation, organization of root apex, root primordia formation, there is differentiation, vascular connection, and root emergence. Now, I would just tell you what does this mean, cytological changes and all that. So again, I have to draw all. So this is a stem section. This is endodermis. So what happened when some cells has the capacity to undergo the process of rooting? So this is endodermis cells. Like that, it's all around. So when suppose this cell get the induction, so generally these endodermis cells is single layer and it divides this way, this way, this way, this way. So single cell may divide at right angle to this. So it forms double cell, so like that, and ultimately it forms a group of cells which are dividing, and this is called root initial. The cytological changes we refer to when these cells, they just divide, instead of periclinal, it shows anticlinal division. So this way is anticlinal division, and it form a group of cells by a repeated division and form the apical root meristem here. And this is the root primordia. First is root organization and then root primordia formation. This apical material keeps on growing and it comes out from here, the surface of the stem as root, So this is called, first is root initiation when cell divides anticlinally. Then second is formation of root primordia, and then this primordia starts growing and root elongation, and when it comes out from here, it is called root emergence. So these are the different phases of rooting. So that thing happens here, that cytological changes is the first division, then directed polar division to form the root initials, and organization of root apex, I showed you root primordia formation, and differentiation of vascular connection and root emergence. So during the elongation phase, during the root elongation phase, when this comes, root has its own vascular connection. So this vascular connection, it gets established with the vascularization of the stem. This vascular connection gets established with the vascular connections of the stem. And root has its own vascular connection. This primordia has its own vascular connections. So they get established with the stem, and now these becomes the functional roots. So that is the basic concept and process of root formation. And in case of indirect root formation, what happens? Undifferentiated cell division first takes place from the base. Suppose this is the shoot on the medium. This is the bottle. Here is the shoot we have put up for the rooting. So first here the callus formation, and from the callus then starts rooting. Undifferentiated cell division results in the unorganized growth, forming the callus formation. And once the callus formation is there, then the vascular strand through callus and root formation, induction. All these processes takes place, resulting in the root formation. Whereas when it is this kind, then it is like this. So this is a shoot. So from here you get the directly roots like that. So this is a direct root formation, and this is a indirect root formation, and this is a callus. So that is what happens in case of this rooting. So now anatomical changes. De-differentiation of the specific mature cell, or anatomical changes they look like. I have discussed with you formation of root initials, that is the first division result in the anticlinal formation of root initial from the cells near the vascular bundle. Generally the root emerge near the vascular bundle, as I have shown you in the drawing. Subsequent development of these root initial into organized root primordia, growth and emergence of root after passing through the cortex and epidermis. So this is a whole process of in vitro rooting, and this process can be divided into 4 phases, or has been divided into 4 phases. First is induction phase, where the cell may require induction, where we need to provide the conditions for the induction of rooting, that we will discuss in the subsequent slides. And then when capacity of root formation is attained or determined, the initiation phase begins, and first visible change, that is cytological change, occur of that is what I discussed with you, anticlinal cell division. Then organization phase, where root primordia is organized, and clear it is seen that the root primordia is there. I will show you this picture also of the root primordia. Then growth phase, when root primordia develops into root, and if so, then what induces rooting? The root induction, how it takes place? Is it auxin, dark treatment, or combination of factors? Basically, it's a combination of factors, and we will discuss all one by one. So here it is a process of rooting. Say this is the root formation on different concentrations of IBA. This is a control where no IBA is there. You can see the root structure and morphology is different. This is on medium containing 1 micromolar IBA, 2.5 micromolar IBA, and 5 micromolar IBA. And this is the section of this treatment after different periods of inoculation. This is before inoculation. You can see the endodermis is intact. There's nothing in the endodermis, no otherwise division. Here you can see at this place the some division is there. Some division is there here. In this area, some division is seen, some altered growth is seen. And you can see here some division, anticlinal division. So this results in the formation of a group of cells, dividing cells. You can see here as well as you can see here, group of dividing cell. And this dividing group of cell, you can see forming the root primordia, organizing into root primordia. And this is a apical meristematic tissue of the root primordia, which can grow and form the root. And in this section, it's very clear, it's elongating, and then it comes out from the stem like this, the roots are coming out and roots are visible. There's a whole process of rooting of micro-cutting, be it in vitro or be it ex vitro or be it cutting. The basic process of rooting remains same. Now, what are the factors affecting rhizogenesis or rooting? Adventitious root formation result from the interaction between many factors, many chemical as well as physical factors. So chemical factors could be carbohydrates, minerals, plant growth regulators. Among plant growth regulators, polyamines are also plant growth regulators. And there has also been some debate on the presence of some endogenous root inducing material that results in easy induction of roots. And then some of the phenolic compound has been involved in the process of rooting. And among the physical factors, light, temperature, and carbon dioxide. These are the three major factors involved in the process of root induction in the microshoots. So first, let me discuss the growth regulator. The formation of root in isolated shoot is promoted by auxins. So auxins are involved, like the somatic embryogenesis. Auxins also are involved in the process of root induction. So induction is governed by the auxin in most of the cases. However, appropriate auxin and its concentration is genotype specific. So which in a particular genotype, which auxin and what concentration will be effective will be governed by the genotype. So root induction occurs within few hours of exogenous application of auxins. When we apply the cutting or expose the cutting from the basal portion to the root induction, generally suppose this is a microshoot, this portion is to be rooted or this lower portion is to be rooted. So this portion is exposed to the rooting only, this portion, induction. Auxin is applied in this portion only, not to the whole cutting. Okay, so that is how one can apply the auxins for the process of root induction. So root induction occur within few hours of auxin application. Sometimes the endogenous IA level also increase due to the wounding. So when we have a cutting, micro cutting, so we cut it from here, say it is like this. Like this. So when we cut it from here, so there is a wound formation, and this also result in the accumulation of endogenous auxins. So this endogenous, I told you that auxins are synthesized at the shoot tip and they are transported actively basipetally. So they get accumulated here. That is also a reason that it is getting accumulated. You have seen in the previous slide, I have shown you that in this cutting, there is no treatment of auxin, and then also it is rooting. So this is only because of the endogenous auxins. Okay, so sometimes the endogenous level also increase due to the wounding after the concentration of, and then after the concentration of phenolic compound increase. Whenever there is a wound formation here in the say it's a wound formation, this results in the increase in the phenolic compound. These phenolic compounds are released by the plant to protect itself from the microorganisms. So Auxin coupled with the phenolic compound form a complex chain of reaction resulting in increased activity of peroxidase enzyme, and then oxidation of IA takes place, and that result in the formation of roots. Okay, so exogenous auxin treatment need to be decreased. So once the induction has taken place, I told you induction takes place within few hours. When the induction has taken place, we need to decrease the endogenous concentration, or we need to shift the cutting from auxin containing medium to the auxin free medium for the subsequent phases of rooting. So in fact, the right from after induction, from initiation, organization and elongation emergence, all the phases do not require auxin, but certainly induction requires auxin. And most of the time the trick has been followed that we expose the cuttings to the auxins at the basal portion, and then we shift them to auxin free medium and shift to auxin free medium. Okay, so and then when we shift to the auxin free medium, then the rooting take place like that. So that is what is the process of role of auxins in rooting and all that. So effect of auxin on gene expression. So auxins are known to regulate many genes which are involved in the process of rooting. For you, this much is enough. Now let us discuss auxin at what concentration. Exogenous auxin can be applied two way. We can apply that exogenous auxin by two way. There's two way of application. We can just have shoots cultured here on the medium. Say I just don't make leaf. Shoot cultured on the medium which contain auxin. Okay, for the long period. Lower concentration of auxin for the long period we can kept. So second is we can treat with the higher concentration and then shift to the medium containing no auxin. So the two way can be formed for the auxin application. So one is called low concentration, prolonged exposure, and second is called high concentration pulse treatment. So these two methods of auxin can be applied. In case of prolonged treatment, sufficient quantity of auxin is added. So we need where we add the low, but it has to be sufficient quantity of auxin for the process of induction. And many a time we add the auxin at a concentration which can induce, and these auxins are sensitive to light, and after that time the auxin get degraded and its concentration automatically get reduced. So anything can be. Therefore, that's why for bulk of the experiment, a specific auxin called indole butyric acid has been used. This is specifically known that after a few days it gets degraded by light or inactivated by light, and there's no auxin effect into the medium. So that's why in more than 90% of the cases, IBA has been used for the root induction. IBA is an auxin. It is noted that the optimum concentration has to be standardized. So we need to standardize the optimum concentration. Otherwise, the survival of the cuttings may be affected. So genotype specificity is there. Normally, IA, these are the concentration given for the particular plant growth regulator, and different concepts at what concentration these are to be applied for the process of rooting. So So how to apply the auxins? What are the ways? So one thing we have discussed, we can put it in the medium. Shoots can be cultured on the medium containing auxin for a short period or long period. Root develops and grow when the roots are induced. Roots induced cutting micro shoots are cultured on auxin free medium. So in that case, we may, if it's a high concentration, we may need to culture it on the auxin free medium. Or if we use the auxin which get degraded itself, we don't need to shift that to the auxin free medium. So duration of treatment is important, crucial. Some plants, they require lower treatment, some they require longer treatment. So it is a plant specific treatment. Basically, it is that exposure time which is required for the induction of a cell to undergo the process of root formation, endodermal cells, the concentrated auxin dip. Sometimes the concentrated auxin dip treatment or pulse treatment. What we do in a tube, we take some auxin, very concentrated auxin, and we put the cuttings in this tube, dip them for a minute or so, and then we take up and put them in the soil after 1 minute, and these can root. That is called a dip treatment for the rooting process. So other factors, what are the other factors? Cytokinins are generally inhibitory for rooting. Sometimes the cytokinin carryover effect is also there. What is carryover effect? We know that the shoots are multiplied on the medium containing cytokinin. So when these are multiplied on the medium containing cytokinin, they build up the endogenous concentration of cytokinin. And this endogenous concentration of cytokinin is carrying over the inhibitory effect and doesn't allow shoots to root. In that case, if we culture the shoots on auxin free medium for 1 or 2 subculture, so cytokinin free medium for 1 or 2 subculture, and then we try for rooting, the rooting can take place. The positive effect of cytokinin has also been, some of the cytokinin such as kinetin has been reported if added to the rooting medium containing along with IBA. Auxin synergists. This phenolics has been considered as auxin synergists. The very specific phenolic, fluoroglucinol, has been, when it is incorporated along with the indole acetic acid, it has been known to promote the process of rooting. Then gibberellic acid stimulate root formation along with the IA also. This has also been reported. This is a contradictory report also. If the gibberellin are promoting, anti-gibberellin, paclobutrazole, has also been known to promote rooting in some other plant. Polyamines, these polyamines are plant growth regulators. These polyamines are kind of plant growth regulators which act as a second messenger, some sort of second messenger, not exactly like the second messenger in animals, but they have similar type of effect, and they are known to be beneficial for the process of rooting. So these are some of the factors, and other media nutrient factors. Macronutrient, ionic concentration. Generally, it has been seen that the reduced concentration of mineral nutrients is beneficial for rooting. So therefore, when we culture on the medium containing say 1/2 or 1/5 or 1/8 of MS, then rooting it is beneficial for the rooting. This is a general concept. Okay, so so molarity of all the nutrient is required. Therefore, because this is for the MS, therefore these two media are, the diluter media has been used for the process of rooting. Nitrogen play a very important rooting. So generally ammonium nitrate is inhibitory for the rooting process. It needs to be reduced for the process, whereas nitrate nitrogen is beneficial. A ratio between higher ratio between nitrate to ammonical nitrogen, higher ratio is beneficial for rooting. For rooting. Okay, so if we decrease this salt concentration to this, we can increase the nitrate content along with that, or we retain this particular, like this only media as MSA only, we decrease the salt containing nitrate. So these are the tricks for the process of root induction, which has been adopted to get the better rooting of plants. So then the micronutrients also play. Boron is important. Boron is a very important nutrient for the process of root formation. It's essential for root formation, boron. Okay, because boron is known in the process of carbohydrate transport in the plants, and accumulation of carbohydrate is also sugar, reducing sugars in the rooting zone is also important for the process of rooting. Therefore, the boron is important. Vitamins also essential additives for the medium and found to increase the rooting. Riboflavin increase the frequency of root formation on incisor, Sarkara papaya shoots. Then amino acids could either be stimulate or reduce the rooting, because amino acids are generally reduce the nitrogen, ammonical nitrogen, so they are inhibitory. But certain amino acids which are involved in the process of oxygen biosynthesis or the precursor for oxygen biosynthesis, these amino acids are beneficial for the rooting. Okay, rooting of prunus increased by 250 to 500 mg per liter proline. So proline has been found to be beneficial for the rooting. Sugars most frequently used for the rooting, used for inducing the osmotic stress, has been beneficial for the process of rooting. Because rooting is also like somatic embryogenesis, is an energy demanding process, so higher concentration of sugars has been found to be beneficial for the rooting. And all these things, that is sugars, boron, nitrate, all these parameters, they interact for the process of root induction. Then comes to the culture environment. The explant sport and aeration also affect the rooting. Oxygen is required because it's a high metabolism is required, so oxygen is beneficial. CO2 concentration is sometimes inhibitory for the rooting. So therefore, the alternative sport system has also been used for the rooting, which include paper boats and all that. Affect dark phase in the rooting zone. Generally, this is a cutting. So this is a rooting zone here. If it's a dark phase here, it's beneficial because light induces very fast degradation of oxygens. So if it is a dark phase, and other is it protects the phenolics. So both they are beneficial for the rooting. Although in dark phase peroxidase activity is increased, leading to the degradation of oxygen. The etiolation is during dark, the stem elongates. So this is called etiolation. This also improves the process of rooting. So reduced light in the root zone, dark phase. So darkening of the media by covering or adding some of the material like charcoal or black paper cover has been used for the process of root induction. So these are the some of the parameters for rooting. Then tissue dependent factors such as shoot size, size of the micro shoot is required, some minimum size 2 centimeter or 1 inch is required for the better rooting. It should not be very long, it should not be very short. So nodes should be present, leaves may be present in the microshoot. Wounding increase percent of rooting and improve the uptake of oxygen. Juvenility is a very important factor, as in case of somatic embryogenesis. The juvenile cuttings or juvenile material, that is younger age material, it roots or it is responsive to all these things, as I have discussed with you in case of somatic embryogenesis than the other. So this is all about the process of that root induction and rooting. Any questions, students? Hello? हेलो?
नो सर।
क्या बात बच्चों, सब समझ आ जाता है या कुछ भी पता नहीं चलता? हेलो? हेलो स्टूडेंट्स? यस प्लीज।
नो सर, नो क्वेश्चंस।
सब समझ आता है? यहां भी नहीं बोलते हो? Can you tell me how I can deliver you better? Anyone? What can I do so that you get more benefited? Hello? So nothing? So I close the meeting. Thank you very much.